Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, all things cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie, and I am super excited to have back Alex Caicedo, who we spoke with back in April 12th of 2021. It was episode 56. I highly recommend going back to that episode and watching it on our YouTube channel. By the way, while you're there, please follow or subscribe and put your notifications on so you don't miss another episode. He was getting ready to bike again across the United States. So since then, it's been over a year and a half. He spent a year biking around the United States, and then he headed over to Europe where he spent 6 months. And now he's back in his garage in Florida on his parents' garage, fixing his bike. And it's kind of like a full circle as to where we started with our first episode to now him being back. And we're going to be talking to him about his bike touring experience, and I don't even know where to start, but let's get into the episode, and I hope you guys enjoy this. So Alex, I want to welcome back to the podcast. It was episode 56 that I interviewed you back in April of 2021.
Wow, that was April. Yeah.
So it's been like April, like that year. And then so I was just saying that I did a little opening for you, and that you spent the last year and a half riding your bike, essentially.
Yeah. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So friends, like listeners, you have to tune in on our YouTube channel to get this, because we've got Alex back in his parents' garage. He's got a bike. He's got his bike behind him. He's actually in the process of fixing her up.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into, like, Alex, I'd love to hear, because when I interviewed you, I think you were getting very close to leaving, because you were packing up and you were kind of getting everything together, testing things out. You had already cycled a fair amount before.
Yeah.
And then you're getting ready to go out again. So tell us about, because like you said a year cycling around the United States.
Yeah. So I think when we talked, I'd cycled for 6 months, and that was 22 states. And I still had 27 states to go. So I left Florida and then biked up to Maine, and then biked to Alaska, and then down to California, and then back to Florida. And
okay, stop. You done like, yeah, I just went to Maine and I went to Alaska. Okay, like seriously, I remember seeing you in Alaska. So like, okay, if anybody, you could go on to Alex's socials and just check out all the videos. You don't have to do that right now, but you should after, because they're pretty cool. But tell us, like, how, like, I don't even know what first question to ask. Like, when you spend that much time on your bike, like,
yeah, I don't know the first thing to say. There's so much. yeah, I think just Alaska had always been this crazy dream of mine. And
Uh,
just when I stepped foot there, it was actually just like a crazy way that I got there because it happened at the end of August 2021 and COVID was kind of still an issue. So I couldn't bike through Canada. So I had to take
oh
a
my God.
ferry. Yeah, I had to take a ferry from Bellingham, Washington to one of the southeastern not an island, but like the southeast section of Alaska. Man, it's embarrassing that I can't remember the name of the
Well,
city.
what's Cape? Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
this is
I
bad.
can't remember, but it wasn't in the main part of Alaska. It was in the southeast. And yeah, I got off there, and then the plan was to get on another ferry, but then it sounded like Canada opened its borders. So I got tested, vaccinated, and then I got to the border, and then they would let me through because they said I had to take an additional test. Just this whole they need it basically culminated in me having to bike to Whitehorse in 24 hours, which would have been impossible. So yeah, so I ended up hitching a ride with some people who also didn't want to go to Whitehorse. And then we just had to be out of the country by midnight. So they dropped me off at the border, and it was just, that was like the realization, like, I'm in Alaska. Like, I'm no longer in the lower 48. I'm in a completely different world. And it was just, I don't know. And that was number 49 for me, which was my
Uh-huh.
goal. And just like the realization that all these things are coming together, like the dream of being in Alaska, finishing the quest for 49, all of that stuff was just kind of like heavy at that moment. And then the next week it just proceeded to rain like every day, and then the
In
dream died.
Alaska?
Like, yeah, it just rained constantly. I mean, the dream died pretty quickly.
Ah! Okay, I've been here, checked it off.
Yeah,
Now I need to head. So
yeah.
I guess you didn't spend too much time there.
Well, so after that week of rain, I got to Denali, and I had this Denali National Park, and I had this plan. I wanted to get into Denali, bike all the way to the end. They have this fancy hotel there. I just wanted to eat a huge, expensive steak while looking terrible, and then take the bus back out. But when I got there, now the day before I got there, this big landslide hit and closed like 80% of the road. And then when I got there, it snowed and then closed the remaining 20%. And then I think that was the point where I just said, I think I'm done with Alaska. I don't need this anymore. So I left while in the middle of a snowstorm. I just felt so horrible. I found this like set of fancy cabins on the side of the road. They had one left, and I gladly took it, and I ate some gourmet meal that they had. And then the next day, it was finally clear. It was a blue sky. The weather was good. And I remember I was just riding, and I saw these mountains that I hadn't seen for days because it was so foggy. And I just like stopped, and I
Oh.
asked this person, I was like, what is that over there? And he's like, that's Denali Mountain. It's so big. How'd you not know that? And I was in shock. And then like, the rest of my experience there was just unbelievably amazing after that.
Oh, wow. I know seeing the mountains is unbelievable. Like we drove across the United States, and we were heading into Montana to go up to Calgary, and we were looking forward to seeing the whole mountain range, but that time there was that big forest fire, and it was so smoggy you couldn't even see like 20 miles ahead. Like
Man.
you couldn't see
Yeah.
anything. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, this sucks. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't even see the Rockies from Calgary. Like it
Ah,
was, and you couldn't go outside because um they had a warning for air quality.
man.
That really sucked. But
Yeah.
anyways, I know
That's
what
a
you
bummer.
mean. There's
Yeah.
like you're just waiting for it, and you're like, well, that's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad you saw that before you left.
Yeah. Yeah. I was too. I just, it started off really bad, but it was probably best that way. It made me appreciate more all the stuff that happened later. Yeah, I'd say Alaska was my favorite state, so it worked out pretty well.
Oh God. So then what you did you proceed to go through Canada and then back into Washington?
No, so I got down to Anchorage, and by then it was,
Oh, you're that high up. I think
yeah,
Anchorage is like kind of the
yeah, I
midsection, isn't it?
yeah, it's all the way in the south
Mhm.
part. So I just did the loop, the Alaskan Highway loop, and it just got pretty late at that time, and I didn't really want to deal with the borders again. So I just took a flight back to Portland in Oregon,
Okay.
and because I wanted to go down to California, because I biked there for like 3 days, and I didn't really care for it, but people told me to give it another chance, so did, and I'm glad I did because I biked along the coast up to the redwoods, to Yosemite and Death Valley, and it was just California is unbelievably amazing place. Yeah,
Oh.
I really loved it there a lot.
Oh, so maybe there's a possibility of moving there. No, I don't know. I mean, you've
But
seen almost every well, you've seen every state. You must have now a favorite. Which is your favorite? Okay, a lot besides Alaska.
yeah, that's tough. It's like the number one question people ask.
Oh.
Man, it's hard. I mean, Alaska's my favorite for sure. I'd say Montana is up. Montana and Wyoming. I love
Mm.
Colorado. Michigan is a sneaky favorite for me.
Oh yeah.
The
Eh?
Upper Peninsula, anyway, of Michigan. I really love it there. Utah. Oh yeah, Utah is just an
So anything
adventure.
north, kind of like skirting Canada?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I just think that people there love the outdoors
Oh,
and like
yeah.
just do whatever they can to like promote it and invest in it and just protect it. And I don't know, I love being around that area and those people.
Yeah, I found Michigan like myself. I've just dabbled going in there and meeting people and doing some gravel events, and they are just really really nice and
Yeah,
certainly make you want to go back. That's for sure.
yeah.
Um, so all right, so the U.S. one. So was the full year like? Did I interview you in the middle of your full year ride?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. So you had another okay, you did 6 months. I
yeah.
thought it was like a year after I taught. I'm just like, just a second, that doesn't kind of work.
Yeah, it was if you add Europe to it, then it was a whole other
Mm.
year after we talked. But yeah, the 49 states was 1 year. I think it was 368 days. So basically a year. Uh, but yeah, there was a break in Florida when we talked, and then a break in Pennsylvania when I got to Maine, where I have other family. So, but 368 days on the road.
Cool. So now, okay, Alex, I've got to ask you, how do you keep going and how do you keep like where's the money come from? I have to ask. I
Oh,
know
that I
you
mean,
worked a lot and saved.
yeah, yeah. That was yeah, I did work a lot and I saved, and that's where most of it honestly comes from. And I've stopped and did a few jobs here and there. So when I stayed in Florida, I worked at an Amazon warehouse, and then back in Pennsylvania, just a few odd jobs here and there. So,
Okay,
but
what
I
kind of
mean,
odd jobs?
just like house repair and stuff, installing. I don't know. Just like what was the last job I did? Like what is this called? A floating vanity in a bathroom, and
Like the
uh,
floor?
no, like a vanity, just
Ceiling.
like a where you have the sink and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Like yeah. I
Yeah, I
was
don't know.
thinking,
Just like different woodworking kind of like shelving and stuff like
right.
that. Just simple stuff for people that I know who need an extra hand. But it's not none of it's really a lot of money. It all really just comes from savings, and any money I make just goes to the daily budget that I have, like when bike touring, which is really low, uh, honestly. So
What is your daily budget?
this last one I'd say was the best. I was around 12 euros a day is what I was doing until I
Okay,
got
in the United States before we're talking Europe in a second.
the United States. I wasn't hitting that full stride yet, so it was probably more like $15 to $20 probably a day. It was much
Re-
higher than I wanted.
really?
Yeah,
15
yeah,
to $20?
yeah.
How can you eat on $15 to $20? 3
Oh,
meals?
no, it's so easy. I mean, if you, 1 pound of rice costs probably like $1, maybe sometimes
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
that'll go for like 4 days. And then, I mean, raw fruits and vegetables are pretty cheap. I mean, when you go to a grocery store and you buy 1 onion and 1 cucumber, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much like less than $1 right there. You get looks when you're paying with a credit card for something like that. But it's the food. The food, I actually got pretty good at like the food. It was just I wasn't comfortable yet with wild camping in the US. So that's probably why that was so higher than I wanted it to be. I probably stayed at more campsites than I wanted to, and other stuff like that. So, but I think that's something that I got better at
Mm.
after the American tour.
Are you just talking like feeling comfortable camping, like, at like behind churches or just
Just any,
off the side of the road?
just off the side of the road or a trail or maybe somebody's property or a farm or
Hmm.
something like that. I think it was just or just trying to find something at night. Uh, yeah, it just kind of it takes a while to get comfortable with that, and maybe especially in some parts of the U.S. So it wasn't something I was quite good at. But
Some parts
but
of the US. Yeah, I can kind
yeah,
of see it.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was pretty happy with this last tour. How much better I got at that. I think.
Hey, gravel riders, are you new to the sport and had a fantastic summer exploring and getting to know gravel rides? And now you put together a kick ass 2023 gravel event schedule, but you're not quite sure where to start with regards to training, staying, and keeping fit over the winter? Well, if that's the case, this might be the program for you. It's my 20-week winter online road cycling skills program. It's geared towards people just like you who are looking for ways to properly train over the winter. Hi, my name is Sylvie, a level 3 cycling performance coach, bike club founder, and online cycling coach. I put together a killer 20-week online cycling skills program that runs from now till April. And here's what the schedule includes: cycling skills, hills, climbing, pedal stroke efficiency, intervals, endurance base building, everything you need to maintain and build a solid fitness base for the spring. Workouts are scheduled and planned, which takes all the guesswork out of how and what to train. It's all you need to do is really show up and absorb all the material. Here's why it's such a great program. Our current clients are already enjoying amazing fitness gains in such a short amount of time, and this could be you. How it works: you sign up for a monthly subscription that is only $49 Canadian. What you get for this low rate of only $49 is the most comprehensive winter coaching program on the market. You get access to online coaching from a level 3 performance coach, which is me, weekly cycling skills sessions, which is on Thursday, which include pedal stroke, hill climbing, and this session is also recorded. On weekends, we are set up with an endurance base building group ride on Swift, Tuesday night interval sessions on Swift, where we focus on sprints and speed, and also putting together all of our skills and techniques that we learned. This program is goal driven. We have clients who are looking with simple goals of just keeping fit, getting faster, and a lot of us are looking to ride 100K by April. This program is great for all time zones. But don't wait another moment to get involved in this program, and it's the best $49. Don't wait another moment to get involved in this program. It'll be the best $49 a month you've ever spent on training. And if you've ever been looking for a cycling coach, which I encourage you to go Google, $49 is a super affordable rate for what you're going to get. We have a supportive Facebook group with chat rooms for our training rides, access to an actual coach, plus you'll gain the knowledge you need to improve your cycling form, skills, and technique. Go to www.cyclingskillspro.com. That's cyclingskillspro.com for more information and to register today. Take advantage of all the benefits this program has to offer for an amazing deal of only $49 a month. Don't wait another week to get on track to training smarter, not harder this winter. And a bonus for you guys, use the code GRAVEL to get 20% off your first month.
I think, that was a huge improvement for me.
Right. So talk about that, because I want to know, like, I can imagine. So being comfortable, but when you're talking about, like, is it because you've heard stories, or like you just sort of like your own comfort zone, or you just didn't
Yeah.
find the right spot, or
Yeah, I think it's just your own comfort zone. I think you're just in the beginning, you're looking, it has to be the perfect spot, right? Is what's in your head. It's like, yeah, I want flat grass with nobody around for like miles, um, on a not on a public area that's not private, and no animals and shelter. And it's just the obvious truth there is like that just doesn't happen, especially at the time when you're looking to settle. I mean, you always find that spot at like noon while you're riding, but who's going to stop? You're not going to stop at noon. So
Mhm.
it just doesn't happen that way. And so, when I got toward the end, I just realized like the budget was too high. And it was because I kept wanting to stay at like campsites. And then, I think I remember like the first night I was sitting on a bench, like trying to find somewhere to stay. And then I just realized like, well, this bench is pretty nice actually. So I just laid down there and I fell asleep. And then I was like, and I think people walked past me that whole time of day and nothing happened. And, that it's just funny that that kind of changed everything from that point. And then it just slowly, progressively got more and more, just what took it even further. I think one day it was so late. The other thing is like when it's late and you're tired, you'll pretty much just risk
Yeah.
anything at that point.
Yeah.
When I slept on a farm in Germany, I like realized, dude, I could get in trouble here, but you know what? I really don't care because I'm so tired. And then you wake up and everything's fine. I think that's the key is you just do it. And when you wake up and everything's okay, it just kind of makes you like more braver for like the next one that you do. And you just kind of keep pushing it. But
Yeah.
but that to me is like where the biggest savings came from because there came a point where I just spent $0. My budget for lodging was $0 after that point, and that's so huge rather than paying like 15 or 20 euro for a camp spot or something.
Yeah, because that's like what, $20 US,
Yeah,
I guess.
it's basically the same. Yeah,
Cool. So, all right. So you got $10 a day. So you spent $3,000 for traveling around the United States. For
the States is probably more like 15 or 20 US dollars a day
okay, so
because
like
I wasn't quite.
6,000.
Yeah, I wasn't quite there with the wild camping just yet.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of stories from the United States. Well, a lot of stories in general, actually. I
Yeah.
can, yeah, kind of feel it too. So now you came back to Florida, and then I know that you were talking. I wasn't sure if you're going to go to Europe because it was kind of like a big question mark. What made you just decide to head on over? Because I was like, oh my God, he's in Europe. Whoa.
Well, honestly, I was done touring after I came back home. I just kind of figured I was done because at that point Europe was still closed.
Oh.
So yeah, I injured my back, so I was just kind of in like rehab mode at that point. And then when I got better, I was just kind of thinking of ways to resume normal life. And
Mm-hmm.
then I saw like people were biking in Europe, and I was like, wait, how's that possible? I don't understand. And then I like started Googling Europe travel, and slowly the countries were opening up. I think at that point it was like, was it just like March, and like maybe half the countries were open. And then I was reading about the countries I wanted to go to, and they all said that they were going to be open in like the next coming up months. And then it was just like it was eating away at me. It was like, man, that was the reason why I started all of this, was to go to, I even bought a ticket to Scotland uh back in 2020, and to go back to like normal life and like not cross that off the list when it's like right there just didn't feel right at all. So I decided, like, I'm just gonna go for it. And then I went ahead and I bought a ticket to Sweden and landed there, and then 6 months later I came back.
I know everybody that I know who had travel plans back then who like, put all their flights on hold. Like Air Canada's like, okay, you've got to use this and by the end of the year. So
Yeah,
it was
that's
kind
what
of like,
happened. Yeah, that's the exact same thing I got. Luckily, I still had the credit from the last flight, and
yeah.
I just used it on that flight, and that was good.
Okay. So talk about Europe. Because Europe, I mean, there's so many people backpacking around there, and
Yeah,
there's cyclists. Cycling is so predominant everywhere,
yeah.
and accepted. So yeah, so talk about like where you started and like just kind of your trip and like the countries that you saw.
Yeah, so I started in Sweden. No, I landed in Norway, Oslo, Norway, and it was like a 3-day bike ride into Sweden. And then from Sweden, I biked all the way down to the southern coast, and that was in the end of May. And what everybody told me when I got there was, "You're here way too early," because it was pretty cold still, and it rained. I never had 2 days where it didn't rain, so I just constantly was getting hit by rain, and it was
Oh,
cold. And yeah, just, I mean, it was a real rough start, but again, like, I still had days where it was just like unbelievably beautiful, and the people in Sweden were so kind, and the outdoor there was just so amazing. I really loved it. Other than the rain, like, I really loved it a lot. Um, yeah, and then I took the ferry from Sweden into Denmark, went down from Denmark into Germany, into
yeah.
Berlin, and then
Ooh.
from Berlin, I went up to the Netherlands, into Amsterdam, the bicycle capital of the world, they say. And
Is it?
yeah, I like rode through like massive garages just filled with bicycles. And whenever you go to a train station, the parking lots, they have like bicycle lots, and they're just jam packed with bicycles. And I was like dreaming of biking there for so long. And when I got there, I was just so nervous because you're pretty much just biking with like 1,000 other cyclists. And they're not racers. They're just like regular people going to work, going to the store, going to see a friend, going to the restaurant, and they know everything that they need to do. Like, they know where, like, when to make their turn. They know how to signal, and I'm just like terrified the whole time. Like,
They're like,
I would just skip my left turns because I didn't know how to stop with like 500 people behind me. But
oh,
it was so amazing to see a city pour so much time and effort and money into such a good biking infrastructure. I mean, it was amazing. Like, they have lights, they have paths everywhere. They have paths going from city to city, not just inside the city, but like going from, one city to a city that's like 30 miles away. You're on bike path the whole time. It's just, it was so nice. I think Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium, the biking infrastructure in those three countries was just so unbelievably amazing.
like surreal. Then you come
Yeah,
back
like,
here, you're like,
yeah, I know. It's just like, God, we could never get to that point, but it's nice to dream. Like, it's so amazing. But yeah, and Amsterdam was great. And then I took a ferry up to the UK, and then biked to the top of Scotland, which was unbelievably amazing. Scotland is such an amazing place.
okay,
I
what makes
really
it so
love it.
amazing?
You could go on to stretches where it's just complete desolation. Like, I had like a 3-day stretch where I didn't see anybody, and I was just like in the like, and it was just all gravel, and you're just in like the mountains and the hills, and it's so green, and I just it's so beautiful and just so quiet. I feel like
Oh.
there's so many places that we have that are beautiful, but they're just like filled with people. It seems like Scotland has been keeping all this beauty like a secret and nobody knows about it. I don't know. I don't know how they have it like that, but it was just so amazing to be, and just you saw so much history there too. It was so cool. I really loved it there. It was I had like some really low moments because just like it's pouring rain and it's cold and I keep getting ticks, but it's just like the highest moments there
Are
too.
you
Just
saying ticks? Ticks
yeah, yeah, the
bug
bugs.
ticks?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I pulled out so many there. Yeah, because they just have so much swamp or boggy, swampy lands there, just high grass and wet. It's just like perfect for
Oh, is
for
it because you're biking through that?
yeah, you're biking and walking and sleeping in it. So yeah.
Oh, you didn't bring any home, did you?
No, I pulled them all out. It came like you were just doing a tick check every morning and every night. So but
Ah!
but
Oh,
yeah,
I know
it's
some people like squirming in their seats right about now
yeah, I
because
was yeah, I never pull a tick off myself until Europe. So that was a new experience. But after like the third or fourth one, it's just like it just becomes routine.
I suppose it could be worse. It could be like mosquitoes surrounding you all the time,
Ah,
buzzing.
no, they have mosquitoes, but they're not bad. It's the midges that they have that are terrible. Like
What's
when you
that?
sleep,
Like black
they're like
flies?
these tiny, tiny bugs, and they swarm in packs of like thousands, it seems, and they're just impossible to keep off of you. And they're so rough and they're so small. That's the problem. So you can't. It's impossible to keep them out of your tent. Just they get in there and then they bite you for hours and they're they're just really tough to be around. They're always around the locks or the lakes when you sleep by the lakes. They're always there.
You're like,
So
yay, a beautiful lake.
yeah,
Oh, okay, no
and
more
yeah, you're
lakes.
getting swarmed. Yeah, everybody was warning me about the midges for years, and like you can't do it justice until you're being attacked by one in your tent.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So, okay, talk about low moments. Like in those 3 days when you you don't see anybody for so long, how do you feel about that? Like, is it
Oh
good?
man,
Is it a good feeling? Is it, or do you go
yeah,
through like, God, I wish I had someone to
it's
talk
weird.
to?
It's weird in the beginning. I had a couple of those stretches in Sweden, so I was kind of being introduced to it. And like when I came out of the woods after like a 2 day stretch, and I saw some people like a campsite, and I actually stayed there. I just like came out and like I was like, oh my god, like people, how are you? They were just all like confused, but uh, yeah, I think after a while, you kind of get used to it, and you just really, if the scenery is like really nice and beautiful, I don't know. To me, it just kind of makes it so much better. Just the quietness, and you have it all to yourself, you know. Um, so when I got to Scotland, it was great. I wasn't completely alone. I guess I was surrounded by herds and herds of sheep, so I I constantly had sheep to talk to. So
Uh,
I guess yeah, that was one thing. But no, I don't know. It was kind of a beautiful thing, really. Yeah, you
you
just
say like a euphoric, like kind of, you just like in constant awe of
that's
like
what it was.
everything that you're taking in.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. I would just be riding and then I'd just stop and just look and like, wow, that is like the biggest hill, I've ever seen. And or you just look at the road and you could see it go for like another 2 miles, just winding into the hills and the mountains. And when it wasn't raining, like it's just like the greenest grass. It's yeah. And when you're near like the locks and the rivers, and it's just makes it so amazing. Yeah. And to
Hmm.
have it all to yourself, like I said, we have so many beautiful places here in the US, but a lot of times you go to them and they're just completely filled with people. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to really appreciate them. So when you're out and all of that, it's kind of mind blowing.
Wow. So you came home a little early.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I just so my original plan was to, get to Sweden. My dream was to get to Kyrgyzstan, which is in Asia. So
Oh,
yeah,
you're in Asia.
it's near Kazakhstan. Like
Oh,
so it's
Kazakhstan.
east, yeah, it's east of the Black Sea and
Okay.
near Mongolia.
Okay.
Yeah, it's if you look at it, like it's one of the best bike packing countries in the world. I've seen so many videos of pictures of people
Oh,
bike
in
packing there.
Mongolia? Like,
Well, in Kyrgyzstan, and it's unbelievably beautiful. So yeah, that was my goal, was to get there, but it just wasn't in the cards for me. I don't think.
well, you need
Um,
something else to do, Alex. Like
yeah,
the next chapter,
that's
right?
true. Yeah, there's always the next chapter. But yeah, I think by the time I got to Albania, I just like had I was just having so many issues with gear and with the bike, with me physically. And I probably could have dragged myself, the rest of the miles, but I just don't think it would have been very enjoyable. I was just my tent was leaking at that point. I was
Oh.
sewing everything. Like the thing I used the most to like fix stuff was probably my sewing kit, and I was just like fixing everything with this, even my tire, like with a needle and thread. And funny, I think the breaking point for me was like it was pouring rain, and I went to put on my sunglasses, just because I couldn't. Stuff was getting in my eyes, and I went to put them on, and the ear, whatever the thing that goes around your ear, just broke off. But it didn't even snap. It just like literally just fell apart. Like there
You're
was no
like,
snap. Like
that's it.
it just like disintegrated. And I looked at it, and it was like just a clean break. It was like the glasses said like, "Ooh, we're done. Like we don't want to." And I don't know why, but that just like killed me. Like it just killed all morale that I had. It was so weird. And at that point, I was just like, literally everything I have is falling apart. Like, there's nothing. All this gear came with me from the United States,
Mm.
so it underwent like a year of touring, and now it's 6 months of touring, and it's just it just got too tiring for me, I think. So I made plans to come home after Greece, and yeah, it was disappointing, but I also think it was the right call at the
Oh my
time. So,
God, how could you be disappointed with everything you've done?
yeah.
Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Holy crap.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
So how would you say, like, I guess terrain wise, how does it compare to United States? Because you said that you're on a lots of gravel and
Yeah,
everything in Europe.
yeah. After the States, I wanted to do things completely different. So
Oh.
on the United States, I was probably on paved road for like 90%, probably more than
Mm-hmm.
that, probably like 95% of the trip. And this trip, I wanted to be on as much gravel as possible. I wanted to be away from cars and traffic
Yeah.
and really just be in it. So for one, I changed the bike. So that's not the same bike that I took into the United States. See the tires are pretty massive on it.
Yeah.
And there's an internal hub on the back and a carbon belt on it. So it's not a normal, it's not normal.
Oh, move over, just shimmy over a little bit. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, it's belt driven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
So
that better? Is that more recommended?
it's just less, there's just no maintenance on it.
Right.
So
No derailleur work. Yeah.
yeah, there's no derailleur, no exposed gears at all. Everything is inside the hub, and it's just like, yeah, when you ride through like a muddy trail for 5 miles, it
Yeah.
used to be the next day I'd have to wash, degrease, wash, and scrub, but you don't have to do any of that with the belt drive and the internal hub. So it was so much better. Um,
So
but
everything besides that was falling apart.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll say, yeah. There's one thing that I didn't have to worry about. It was the drivetrain. So
Oh
that
my
was
God. Well, that's my derailleur just fell apart on well, I was training on Swift last night. Like my pulley wheel fell off. Okay, imagine that
no.
happening to you on a trail.
Oh God, yeah.
Losing
I
the
would just
pin.
I would just cry. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
no
would cry. Make it a
you're just
single speed and
yeah,
get
pretty
home.
much the whole way.
Uh,
Uh, so yeah, this time around, and then I just when I planned as I was planning the route, going route to route, I just picked gravel trails, and everything I planned was on as much gravel as possible. And which I was looking forward to because, like I said, it took me away from traffic and stuff, but it also brought me to like some of the most beautiful, desolate places that I've ever been to. And yeah, I think it just made this trip so much better.
I guess, and you got over the fear of sleeping anywhere, I guess, at
For
that
sure,
point.
yeah, yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
nobody's around me besides the sheep.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, after that point, after like days of that, I was just like, wow, literally nobody's here. I could just, take a bath in this lake or this stream or whatever, and just like nothing. It's everything here is mine, basically. So it was, yeah, just being out there in the gravel, in a gravel world like that, just made it so much better.
So you decided to, so you had to come, yeah, decide to cut. So talk about more about your gear because we see your bike back there. Okay,
Yeah,
everything but your drivetrain was falling apart. So you're talking
yeah.
like your panniers, like
Oh, they took the biggest beating, like out of every. So let me just.
how much did your bike weigh? Because you
I
were
think,
carrying quite a bit.
yeah, I think it was around maybe. Was it? I think around 80 pounds. I weighed like the gear separately and then the bike before I got on the plane, and I think together it was like somewhere around 80 pounds. But that was without water and food, and I was carrying like almost a week's worth of food and plenty of water. So it's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
close to like 95, maybe close to 100 pounds when it has all the food and water in it. So it was
Right.
pretty heavy, and these panniers, they just like this was the
Oh,
like right before coming
yeah.
home that came off, and
So
then
if
these
you're
latches.
watching this, guys, if you're you have gotta be, yeah. Alex is just showing his pannier bag, which is like literally falling apart.
So the latch like broke off, and that wasn't the first time. I mean, I replaced. They put plastic screws on it. I don't know why. So I replaced them all with these steel
Metal,
ones,
yeah.
and then I brought extra ones, but I used them all in like the first few months, and
Would they just snap?
yeah, they just break off constantly, and
Wow.
the latches broke off, so I was holding them on with zip ties that you see.
Yeah, good old zip
And
ties. Uh-huh.
yeah, this it's funny. Like this strap broke. It just ripped right out. So this isn't even the original one. I had to like rip a strap off the front rack there, and then sew it to this buckle. It just kept falling apart, and it was just getting way too much. At one point, I grabbed all my paracord and just wrapped it around each bag to the rack just to kind of keep it on there. And yeah, I just me and the panniers just fought every day. I probably went through 30 nuts and bolts, like replacing the the broken screws on there.
That would
And
probably drive me insane as well.
oh,
Like,
yeah, just like
yeah.
for that to be the problem, like yeah, I mean, luckily I had plenty of zip ties to fix like just any problem. It seemed like, but even towards the end, I was running out of zip ties, which was crazy to me because I started with like 40, so it's just so yeah, they were probably the most aggravating piece of gear I had were the panniers, not to mention them like, ripping and then having to use my tape to keep them waterproof. But
Oh
even
God, yeah.
that didn't even work. There's nothing worse when you reach in your bag for your gear and it's wet,
Or
after 2 days of rain. But, so yeah, I had plenty of trouble with that. Um, my rack, I don't know if you see, but I had a really bad crash in Switzerland, and the
oh,
rack took a pretty big beating there.
yeah.
Uh, Completely, it's pretty much bent on that side, which made me change how I packed some stuff there.
Do you
Uh,
just have the pannier rack on the
the
front?
back.
Because I don't see one on the back.
Oh, I had to take it off because
Oh, okay.
I'm actually in process of trying to fix the rack. So yeah, I just like everything kind of went down there. But no, I just had panniers on the back, a frame bag on the top, and a
Your
couple of things
bottles.
on that rack. Yeah, and then just two small little pouches on the front to store everything. Yeah. Uh,
Wow. Oh my gosh. So
yeah.
now that you're back and what does that look like for you now? Because I know you're saying you flew into you flew into New York and then you
Yeah,
had to bike home.
I flew to New York and then from New York to Orlando. And oh man, the time every my was just so messed up. I'd say the night before I was packing, I didn't even sleep. I just was packing till 4 a.m. And then I had to carry the bike box and then my bags to the train station and then switch between three trains. Then I got to
Oh
the
my
airport.
God.
Yeah,
With
I
all
mean,
your gear.
yeah, carrying that box to the train was probably the hardest thing of the entire trip, I'd say, for the 6 months. Was just the 800-meter walk to the train station. But after that, yeah, then I flew into New York on an 11-hour flight, and then New York to Orlando, and then that's where I picked up the bike. I took a 3-hour nap because I like didn't sleep at all, and then put the bike together and biked out of the Orlando airport at
I
about three
remember
in the
seeing
morning.
that. I've got a bike home. I'm like, oh my God. Couldn't your
Yeah,
dad like picked you up? He's got a truck.
they wanted to. My family really wanted to, but I
Yeah, I didn't take it.
but before I went through all this terrible travel, I was like, no, I want to finish biking home. But then, when I was started, I realized how unbelievably tired I was. It was a 100-mile ride too, so it was from Orlando to Tampa.
Uh-huh.
And I started at 3:30 in the morning, and it was just terrible. I was so
If there's
tired.
anywhere you're gonna like encounter lots of traffic that you probably don't want to, it's in Florida.
Yeah,
You're just
exactly.
like, I
That
think I'll
yeah,
take you up on that.
yeah. Luckily at 3:30 in the morning, there wasn't too many people, so it wasn't so bad. But and it was Thanksgiving Day, so didn't seem like there was a lot of traffic out there.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was just so tired. I stopped and pulled over probably 5 or 6 times just to take a nap, just so my head would be right. Yeah, and then when I got home, I was so happy. I took a shower and then I slept. My dad said we'll wake you up for Thanksgiving dinner, and he tried, but I wouldn't wake up, and I just ended up waking up the next day at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my
And I
God.
yeah, but it was good because I really needed that. Like I needed that sleep so badly. But yeah, that's an example of me being too stubborn and just wanting to bike home and finish the trip.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't call. Just, I'm on this road. Meet me, pick me up.
Yeah, that would have been the good idea.
All right, so what does so now you've recouped. It's been a couple weeks. And it's like 2 weeks now since Thanksgiving. Um,
Yeah.
what's the plan? Like, I know you're fixing up your bike.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna take some time off? Are you gonna look for a job, or you're gonna what's the plan, Alex?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I have so
You
many thoughts going.
backpackers are like, you can't stop.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have so many ideas going through my head. It's so hard. I ran into so many people who've given me ideas, and I've already had my own. Uh,
Did you
all
keep
I
a
know right
journal?
now. What's that?
Did you keep a journal, or did like a voice journal of any sort, like on your
I
travels?
In the United States, I kept a journal. I wrote a entry every day. So in the end, I had 5 books that I mailed home. So I did a really good job with journaling there. In in Europe, though, the problem was I didn't want to mail stuff home. So
Uh-huh.
I tried to do an electronic journal, but it wasn't the
Yeah.
same as writing.
Yeah.
So it only lasted for the first month, and then after that, I just kind of gave up on it,
Mm.
which was a real bummer because I think the journaling part of the U.S. was probably one of my favorite parts of the
Mhm.
bike touring. So I think that's something I learned that I can't do electronic journals. That's that's for sure. There's no way. But
Yeah, you really do need to. I have I have journals when I traveled. Oh, that's 25 years ago when I went to Asia, and pictures and everything. You just go back and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
the written part and the nonsense and the funny stuff, and you're like, oh God. But um, I read a book, and I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called The Bee and the Buddha. It's by Corey Mortensen, and it's about his bike tour, a bike. I don't even call it a bike tour, but his bike across from one coast to coast, and it's
Oh,
so hilarious. It's just so raw and real. It's and I mean, you should pick it up because it's a great example of,
the bee
you
and the
know,
Buddha. Huh.
yeah, yeah, I'll share it with you after.
Yeah.
I'll show you the book. And it's just his bike ride. And it's that's it. And it's the thoughts and the encounters, and I think, this is probably something you should take a really keen look at.
That's
Why
interesting. Yeah.
not? Yeah, since you
Yeah.
all have it there, right? That's the whole thing. It's already compulated. You
Yeah,
got
that's
the
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's your next project. Write the book.
Yeah. 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 Man, that'd be tough. I'm not really much of a writer, so
You've already written it. You just
that's
got to put it together.
it's just my crazy thoughts written down, I guess,
That's
after a
what's
crazy day.
crazy, and
Yeah.
that's what's fun to read. Don't
Yeah.
ever overthink it.
For
Um,
sure.
People love it. But other than that, like, what are you kind of like just thinking about?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, you know. I really have one. I'd say I have one more tour left in me, right?
Well, yeah, you got
So,
to go back and do Mongolia and
I don't know. And so for me, and I'm not 100% sure on it yet. The next one for me will be South America. I'm
I
not
was
sure.
just thinking like
Yeah,
South America, like Panama and
yeah. Well, it's all the way to Argentina and then up to Central America would be the plan. I'm just not 100% sure if I will do it yet. I'm just working on the bike and I want a
oh,
different setup.
Alex, you have lots of time. You can
Yeah.
you should buy all new gear on if
Well,
you're gonna do
yeah.
another one.
I'm trying to repair what I can right now, and then once I get to that point, then I'll look at gear that has to be bought,
This
and
is
then
what
just kind of.
Christmas is for.
That's
People are
true.
like, "Hey, Alex, what do you need for Christmas?" Well, here's my list.
Yeah. New tent, new pack, new everything, new
Yeah.
saddlebags. So, but yeah, that's the only tour that I would would think about doing next, be South America.
You
So
wanna go back to Europe?
I really
It's the
I
rain, right?
no, I actually by the end, oh man, by the end I was just laughing whenever it rained. To the end, it just got really, it was so sad, it was hilarious. So
You're just like
I
slowly
don't,
losing your mind.
yeah, that's pretty much what it was. You know, there was that one point where when it stopped, we set up the stove and I was cooking dinner in the middle of a park. And I was like, wow, this is really warm. So I took off my socks and shoes and it was just heating my hands and feet next to my stove while it was cooking pasta. And I think the people walking around just looked at me and just thought I was crazy. And then I don't know, I felt really happy at that point. Can't
I
explain it.
think I'm going crazy. I think it's
Yeah,
time to go home.
yeah, pretty much. But no, I think I'm just very happy with how Europe went. I did everything I wanted to do, and I was very proud with how we handled everything there. Uh, I didn't have any regrets other than maybe not making it through Turkey and in Asia. But I just think the whole 6 month Europe trip just
Mm.
changed me as a bike tourer, and I don't know. I'm just very happy with how it went, and I don't think I need to go back there. There's nothing that I didn't do that I like feel is unfinished there. So
Right. Well,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
Good.
So
Next time I'll go in the summer. Start in the
I,
summer. Well,
yeah,
actually, it rained a whole lot while you're there during the summer.
Yeah, it did. Well, yeah, I was in the wrong places. Like in the UK, it just rains all the time, no matter what. So,
Yeah,
but
that's what I
I
hear.
don't know. I liked, I don't know. I think all those rainy days just like gave me ideas for how to handle the rain and made me better at handling the rain. So it'll be much easier in the future. And yeah, there's just less people out there when it's cold and rainy. So again, I have everything to me, so
Yeah,
I don't mind it so much. But yeah, I just think South America would be the next one for me if I can make one more.
right. That would be a place that I wouldn't be so comfortable sleeping out by
Yeah,
myself. South
yeah,
America, Mexico. Just saying.
yeah.
But so now you've wrapped it up, you're back at home. Do you have any advice for any newbie bike packers? Because I've talked to my girlfriend who's a no, so you're a bike tourer, you're not a bike packer. I've heard that there's two different things.
I think this last trip I was a bike packer for sure.
Yeah?
But yeah, yeah, I was on more gravel. My setup was more bike packing than conventional touring. So
Oh,
and
okay.
and all my routes were taking off bikepacking.com. So I'd say that's bike packing.
I thought it was like the minimalist, light, super light gear, like no
No, it's more.
panniers kind of deal. That was the
Yeah, well,
difference.
it's panniers. You can have panniers, but they just well, there's really no rules between it. Just that's probably like the main noticeable difference between bike packing and bike touring is bike touring is mostly on pavement,
Oh, okay.
so you can have panniers. Bike packing, the setup is that way because you're mostly on dirt and there's a lot of low low to the ground obstacles. So low
Oh,
panniers
okay.
on the front will get completely damaged, which is why I didn't have any. And
Mm,
the only reason I had rear panniers was to fit all of my food. So my hope is that I could change that in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they're really kind of the same. Bike packing is just more out there in the middle of nowhere,
right,
gravel adventure, and bike touring is, I guess, just more pavement. But
right.
I don't know. I try not to say either of them is better than the other. They're both kind of the same.
They're so both cool.
Yeah.
And regardless, so advice for a newbie who's thinking about packing up and doing a
Uh,
little tour.
advice. Yeah. I don't know.
Leading advice or maybe just sort of maybe something that you realize like within your gear that something's better than what you had like maybe a piece of essential gear that you shouldn't have or like a setup like with your phone or whatnot that you went through that really made a huge difference.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess I don't know. I think my most used piece of gear was this like sewing kit that I had, like with
Yeah.
this needle and this sewing. I
Oh my
use,
god, there you go, guys.
I'm telling you, like it repairs everything, like straps, tent, tire, clothing,
How did you use it on
backpack.
your tire?
Oh yeah, so I had a big. I don't know if you see where that patch is on the outside. Probably not, but
On the side of your
yeah,
sidewall?
yeah, on the
Yeah?
sidewall. So I had a big gash come out. It's a tubeless tire. So I had a gash there and the sealant wouldn't seal it and I couldn't plug it. So I had to sew it together and then dump super glue on it and then patch it. And that got me far enough till I could buy a tube to put into it and change it from tubeless to tubed. But
To
I mean, yeah, I ended up sewing it together in order to keep it to hold air.
Whoa.
I
Now
mean,
here you go. You can sew up and patch a tubeless tire. I love it.
yeah, I mean, it's literally repaired everything that I have. So, yeah, I'd say that's good. A dynamo, if you were looking to just really be off of like out of civilization, a dynamo I think is huge. I think
What's
the
a
longest
dynamo?
So it's a generator in the hub that you can use to charge electronic devices. I
Oh
think.
my God, that's so okay. Can you just do a little close up of that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see.
Can you bring the phone over there? Now that's cool.
Yeah. So that's
This
the
is like,
dynamo.
back in the days when they had you ran like a front light off of
Yeah.
just off your front wheel, like
Yeah.
off
So
the
that. Yeah, that's the dynamo, and it hooks up to this uh, USB port that will then charge electronic devices. But it also powers a front light that I have. It's the front light's not on there right now, but it also powers the front light. So I
Oh my
don't have.
God, that is so cool. So that's a front hub. So do you buy that separately and have it installed in your wheel, or you buy the whole wheel and
You could do either. This one you just bought it and then built the wheel. But yeah, you can buy full kits too. But I think that for me was huge, because just having to rely on electricity means then
the
you got to come back.
batteries too?
Yeah, you got to come back to normal life like every few days. So I was
Huh.
proud, but the longest I went without electricity was 6 days. I was so proud of that. I don't know why. There's really no reason,
Well, that's
but
pretty good because like even those even lights are now USB charged.
yeah, the head torches. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I made sure mine was, so just throughout the day I'm charging the Garmin, and
Mm,
you have to do things to. So my phone, like I kept it in airplane mode all day, and I didn't want to use it for navigation because it killed the battery. So I
right.
put all my maps on the Garmin and let that do my navigation. I
Right.
had a report where I couldn't use it for listening to music or podcasts for more than 2 hours a day. And then there were some days where I just wouldn't listen to anything on the phone, just so I wouldn't suck the juice out of it. And so yeah, I was just really happy. I wouldn't have been able to disappear like that for that long if I didn't have some type of power source to do all that. So that was huge. I think if you're wanting to, not
That
have
is huge.
access. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, that's huge. What else? Yeah, I think just if it, just really important to get comfortable with your kit beforehand. When I started the US tour, like I changed it so many times. Like it just I was, I didn't know what I wanted, and I shipped stuff home so many times. And then
Oh, you just sort of like, okay, I just don't need this. I don't
yeah,
need that.
yeah, pretty much by the end of it I laid everything out, and I knew like what I needed, what I didn't need, and most importantly what I could get easily in the event that I needed it. So
Right.
I got rid of a lot doing it that way. And then yeah, just and the other thing was like you can't mail anything home from Europe, so whatever you this is it. Like whatever you take with you has to be what you need, and if it's valuable to you, you're gonna have to get rid of it because I'm not mailing anything home.
Right.
So
Just give it away.
or yeah, I'll give it away. So it worked out really well. I was very happy with everything I had. Got used at least once, which I was happy with. That almost wasn't the case until the very end when my tire gave out and I had to use the tube that I was carrying around for 6 months. And at that point, I was,
Wow. That's good advice. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll wait for your next move and see what's going on. See if you get a job or,
yeah,
to keep you occupied, maybe go back to Amazon
yeah.
fulfillment center.
Yeah, it's Christmas time almost. So
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they could probably use extra help there. Or maybe just relax for a while.
yeah, that's probably it. Try to repair what I can here and see what the next step is.
Wow. I want to thank you, Alex, because I know I've been bugging you for months. And I'm just like, so
Yeah,
when can you come on to the podcast? And I just like really kind of unrealistic in the States I mean in Europe as I see now, because you were not
yeah,
really close to civilization for a lot of your tour.
yeah.
But
We had crazy time differences, for sure
yeah, that
too.
too. But I'm really grateful and that you were able to. I'm like, hey, now you're home. Like, This is way better. Same time zone. That you found the time to come back and give us an update as to what you're
Yes,
doing. And,
for sure.
when you do go down to, your next trip, we'll definitely have to have you back on the podcast, either before or maybe even during.
Yeah.
That might be possible. But thanks a lot. And I hope all of our listeners here have enjoyed this episode with Alex. So don't forget to, you can go to our the YouTube channel, and check out the episode 56, which is where he was in his garage like this. And he was showing us more of his pannier, his setup for his bike before he went out on his second half of his US tour. And so that was episode 56. Make sure you go back and check that one out on YouTube. And don't forget to also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another episode. And thanks a lot, Alex. So appreciate you. And I can't wait to watch, what's going on with you in the future.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about sighting people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day, make sure you ride your bike, and don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.